What is up, everyone? We've made it to the Final Four. Excited to be here. Man, 4 number 1 seeds. If you picked a boring bracket like me, you're probably not too disappointed by this because, to be honest, I got 3 out of these 4. Let me make sure people could actually see me.
Freaking Clemson, man.
I know, right? So yeah, I think I'm excited for the matchups we got. At least this is if y'all's college football philosophy, which y'all are like only the best number 1 team should be in the college football playoff. If y'all hold that to this too, y'all should be very excited too.
Well, and that's the thing is I love great matchups. So sometimes when you get a bunch of upsets early, while it's fun, it can lead to a bunch of blowouts later. And we haven't really had that this tournament. I mean, there's been blowouts, but I just love the competitive nature of this round, this Final Four, this final that we're gonna have, on Monday, which is interesting. It leads us kind of to one of your points, Eric, where you really, really like Duke, and you're not seeing a whole lot of value like playing the money line and then doing it again next week. So I like kind of how you're approaching these next 2 games kind of with one bet is pretty smart.
Yeah, it's actually a good way to kick us off, which is one of my picks is Duke national title. You can still get at even money. I got -110 on DraftKings. I saw it at +100 just a couple days ago, though. So shop it. I think all of these numbers you should shop because even the team total overs and stuff, I think are going to be different. They've been going up and down by a point every once in a while. So yeah, man, I just don't think I'm going to get close to an even money ticket no matter who Duke plays on Monday. It's assuming they make it. Obviously, I could lose this in the Final Four. But assuming they make it Monday, I don't think I can get anything close to an even money Duke just to win ticket. So I'm going to roll that dice. I think they're the national championship.
You can get it on FanDuel for +220 right now.
Shut up.
Dead serious.
There's no way that's double. Man.
According to Vegas Insider, where it lays out all of your sports books, it says FanDuel is currently at +220.
So
that is wild.
We need to do a whole show on this, but I have every single downloadable app on my phone for this very reason. We were watching one of the games, and I forget which one it was, but the favorite was at like -140 on one book and +120 on another book on Fanatics. It had much better numbers. So instead of going with my usual book in DraftKings, I switched over to Fanatics, got much better numbers. So you definitely want to do that. I'm just stalling right now to see what the number is at FanDuel here, Eric, so that we can make sure that you get the absolute best number. So yeah.
Look, man, I saw it on the internet. It has to be real.
Sorry, we're a little echoey today due to some recording limitations. If it pops up, it pops up. I also, we're going to take it at +220 for now, and we'll move into the rest of these as Stefan looks up FanDuel. Let's just talk about these 2 games. Let's start with, we got an SEC matchup, Auburn and Florida. These teams have only played once this year, and Florida did pretty good. I don't necessarily see that as like predictive, even though I do think Florida is going to win this game. So I guess I'll just start there with my Florida money line pick at -155. Man, I'll take the 2 because they're 2.5 point favorites. I'll take that. I'll go ahead and just buy those 2.5 points essentially for the extra juice at -155. Florida happens to. We haven't really had many buzzer beaters, but maybe they have one, and I still get to cash this. So I just think Florida's going to win, and we get a really great Duke and Florida national title. I will say, if Auburn wins this game and I didn't put even more money on Duke to win the national title, I will be very disappointed because I am much more nervous about Duke playing Florida than I am them playing Auburn. What do y'all think about this game?
Ditto. I mean, I think Florida's been the most consistent team in comparison to Auburn over the last 2 months anyways. It felt like Auburn kind of slowed down there a bit at the end of the season. And Florida, I mean, to use a football term, they just feel like the most explosive team to me right now. And if they come out that hot, I don't know that Auburn is really going to be able to keep up. So I, at one point, had them in a teaser here where I tease it to Florida +4.5. But decided against it, because I don't know, something felt off, but my gut leans hardcore on Florida here.
Yep, I'm right there with you guys. I like Florida here. I don't have an official play on this. Florida is my bracket champion, so we've talked a little bit about that. Again, don't like that now, but Duke looks unstoppable. But by the way, Duke is minus 115 on FanDuel to win it all. Their projected line against if Duke would play Auburn, they'd be minus 250. If they would play Florida, they'd be minus 205 at the look ahead.
The lesson here is don't believe everything you see on the internet.
Right.
I believe everything. That's how we got to this current political situation we're in, is we all believe what's on the internet. But this is not a political talk show. We're going to move on to the second game. Let's talk about Duke versus Houston. We have a very defensive team in Houston playing, my national title. All of our picks here are leaning towards Duke having a really good game against Houston. I'll open up that conversation with, man, Houston obviously has an elite defense, like holding people to 58 points a game or less is pretty nuts. That being said, if you look at like where they really racked up those numbers this year, they really like held really shit teams to like 40 points. So like that average, if you're like and I look at that a lot, which is like, oh man, 58 points a game. It's like, well, yeah, man, they also held like some of the worst teams to like less than 50. And they
Utah
didn't
to 36 points, Mikey. Utah to 36 points.
Yes. Yeah, well, we suck at basketball, so that doesn't
Exactly.
mean much.
I think they held Colorado too, like just to talk trash of my own team, which is just like, and then they didn't necessarily do that to elite or like top tier teams. Like they did have some good defensive performances. So I'm just saying that, like, I think if you're just looking at their average, it's skewed. And Duke, man, I don't know, dude. I look at like, essentially you have the best player in the tournament who's going to win the MVP of the tournament, who's going to be the number one NBA pick, who can score from literally anywhere on the floor, like down low, mid, threes. And then you have Proctor and Knippel. Is that right? Knippel?
Yeah.
Who are just absolutely assassins from the 3-point line. So like it's just going to continue to be Cooper Flagg crashing the defense, and he's either going to score at the rim because they have to defend the threes, or he's going to kick it out to one of those guys and they're going to rack up threes, which I think is a nice segue to us talking about the overs in this game. Mike, you have the pick for the whole game over, is that right?
Yeah, I do. I'm sitting here looking at Houston's schedule just to tag on to what you're saying. Auburn scored 74 against them. They gave up 85 to Alabama, 86 to, I think it was Kansas. So like against these better, more explosive teams, they are giving up that number. My play here is the game total at over 136.5. If I'll tease another bet that we're all on here, which is the Duke team total over. We're expecting them to go over 70.5. If we think they're going to go over 70.5, then that means Houston only has to score 63 points to hit this over. Or 66 points, sorry. Duke has given up this number in every game except in the tournament, and except for the 1v16 match, which was against Mount St. Mary's, and it's kind of an outlier there. So Duke overs have hit in 4 of their last 5 and 11 of their last 14. Houston overs surprisingly have hit in 4 of their last 6. So the overs are trending here. I think Duke is being a little spited here because they're playing such a good Houston defense statistically, but I agree with you. I think that statistic there is a little skewed. So I think we get the Duke team total over, and I think we get the game total over here.
Love that. Stefan, what are your thoughts on this game?
I mean, when you look at Houston's defense and you look at the numbers, those games you mentioned, yes, they went over. All of them that you mentioned hit overtime, except for that Auburn game, I think. So in games where they're not going to overtime, Houston is crushing people, holding people, like we said, under 50 points a lot of times. Problem is Duke is a machine. And so I think it's really tough to look at the historical trends, not historical, but the trends this year with Houston, because this team they're playing is so different than anything else they've played. Yes, I think only 6 times this year has someone scored more than 70 3 points on Houston, but that's actually where I'm going to play this because you mentioned the team total over 70.5 or 71. I'm actually going to also ladder it to nothing crazy, just 74.5. So we just need 75 plus points, and that comes in at plus 150. So I'm going to play that one as well because I think Duke, if they are able to solve this defense, they're going to be able to put up as much as they need to. I think it could be a slow start. I have toyed around with the idea of playing Houston on some of the race to X amount of points. If you do like a race to 20, like maybe it's a slow start and it's defensive and tight and they get there first, you can get those race to numbers at pretty good value for Houston if you want to play the other side. But my official play is just the team total for Duke. And I'll probably also do like a same game parlay, Duke money line plus wherever I can tease those points to, and I'll look at that while we're chatting here, and I'll give that at the rundown.
Love that. So there's always like this discussion, and we're gonna wrap this up here in a second. But like, I was just in the Alamo Dome for CU's football bowl game. That place is huge, man. That is not a basketball stadium. It's very much a football stadium, like they like to do these Final Fours in. And I'm just gonna reinforce Stefan's slow start theory, which is that they talk about this every year, which is you hear players talk about it, like getting out on a floor and all of a sudden the backboard is against a background of like a massive lit background of like thousands of more people than you're used to seeing behind it. Getting your shooting right and honing it in is a really big issue for a lot of college players, and you often see them start slow. Like you're going from having like this really tight college stadium, environment, and you're used to your home floor or even just smaller stadiums, to like all of a sudden your peripheral vision is like taking on all of these people and everything that's going around you in these massive football stadiums. I do think it's a real impact on the game. But, I'm not like a vision scientist or anything. We can run this down. I also don't have a lot of hard data for you there.
That's why I was on the first half unders the first 2 rounds, and those were successful for me this year. Yeah. I did actually miss a play. I'm going to go back to the Florida game. I'm taking Florida minus 1.5 in the first half. Florida's just been hot in the tournament so far, scoring 40 or more in 3 or 4 games. Auburn's only scored more than 35 just once. Auburn's 1-7 against the first half spread over the last 8. So I like that one there as well.
Cool. All right, let's run this down. You made it to the end. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and download us wherever you get your podcasts. Like, subscribe, hit all the good buttons for us. Also, you can find us out on social media. After this March Madness stuff is over, we'll be with you with a lot more hockey, golf, basketball, soccer type picks over the next few months. So we're looking forward to seeing everyone there. And obviously, we'll do a national championship recording here as well. So, all right, let's run this down. Stefan, do you want to kick us off with your Duke team total over?
Yeah, we're going to go over 74.5 at plus 150. I also told you I was going to give you this, so here it is. You guys are going to fall in love with this. We're going to parlay Duke money line with over team total 59.5 points, and we get that at minus 110. So a Duke win and at least 60 points at minus 110. Say goodbye to the mortgage, my friends. I found where I'm putting it.
I absolutely love that. I'm going to take Florida on the money line against Auburn at minus 155. It's a little juicy. I'm also going to just go ahead and take Duke to win this national title. We found live that you can get this plus 220, but it's going to be anywhere from even money to plus 220, depending on where you're looking.
And I'm also going to take the Duke team total over 71.5, with the game total of Duke versus Houston over 136.5, and give me Florida minus 1.5 in the first half.
Love it. We will see y'all for the national championship show and get this March Madness wrapped up.